What a time to be alive if you're a Nintendo or Sega fan. Or both, in my case. Honestly speaking, because as we know, Nintendo and Sega haven't always gotten along. And things could potentially go back to formula, aka go back to war. As we know, in the 90s they were arguing over which console was better, the SNES or the Sega Mega Drive, or the Genesis, depending on where you live. I say this all the time, man, I'm British, okay? After that, they seem pretty civil, obviously because Sega no longer releases consoles like that, which is quite sad, may I add. Obviously you get games like Sonic Advance on the GBA. Obviously that was quite strange to see at the time, but then it became the norm that Sega was hopscotching their way through the gaming industry, basically going cross-platform and not really competing against anyone. But now in 2023, two games get announced. First of all, Sonic Superstars, which came out of nowhere and had Sonic fans extremely excited. It is once again a modern take on a classic formula, which we absolutely love in Sonic games. So seeing this had everyone very excited. But then shortly after that we had Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Again unexpected, if you're not counting leaks obviously. Just be patient, man. And another game that, okay, yes, this is very different compared to other 2D Mario games, especially the ones that have come out in recent times. However, this is Mario in a modern lens. It's the same principle, essentially. Whether you know a lot about these games or not, I think we can all agree that Mario and Sonic in general have a lot of similarities. They're both classic franchises that are family friendly. A lot of their newer games are modern versions of a classic formula, and although a lot of their games are 2D or platformer based, a lot of them heavily encourage multiplayer. Even if it's just 2-player, they still encourage it. Even Sonic Mania had multiplayer. Both franchises are typically very easy to understand and play too. So seeing how that trend seems to continue with both Sonic Superstars and Super Mario Bros. Wonder, it would not surprise me if these two games go to war with each other. Even though ironically Sonic Superstars will be releasing on the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo was not going to allow Sega to take over the 2D genre like that. When they first announced Sonic Superstars, I had in my head, wow, this is available on Nintendo Switch, which is great, but is Nintendo really going to sacrifice a 2D Mario game just so that Sonic can win the 2D platformer war? Really? But then obviously that Direct happened and we was all like, there's absolutely no way Nintendo was going to allow that to happen. Here's what I think will happen, and a lot of this has me wondering. Ha, see what I did there, Mario Bros. Okay. Speaking of wonder actually, little side note, I'm wondering as to why 86% of you guys who are watching my videos are not subscribed. What's up with that? If you enjoy this style of content, which I pretty much produce all the time, and you love Mario, Sonic, and gaming in general, hit that big red subscribe button. It will be much appreciated. It helps support the channel a lot, and we're on the road to 2k subscribers, so I appreciate the support. I think in terms of strategy, it's going to be a lot more interesting this time, as separate consoles aren't really involved. As in, like, Nintendo has one console and Sega has one console. Because the rival game will also be available on the Switch, that means that this rivalry is gonna have to take place and execute in a very strange way. Here's what I'm talking about. I think we could all agree that Mario 2D games are probably at the highest high in the 2D platforming genre. Like, statistically, popularity wise, Mario is pretty much at the top. However, the thing that balances out here is the fact that Super Mario Bros. Wonder is going to be a Nintendo Switch exclusive. Sonic Superstars is cross-platform, which means more coverage. One thing that you need to understand is that although PS5 really did try to hone in on some family-friendly games, you know, like Astro's Playroom and things like that, bottom line is they don't really have any colourful, family-friendly 2D genre characters like that outside of maybe Little Big Planet. So that gap needs to be filled. And if Sonic can fill in that gap, which has always been compared to something like a Mario, that could potentially be dangerous. Because Sonic will have the coverage. So from a marketing and coverage perspective, things can get very, very interesting. Obviously, we don't know much about these games at the moment. We only can go by a couple of trailers that have been shown, a couple of gameplay clips that we've seen here and there on YouTube. However, what we do know is the amount of weight that both of these two games are going to have. It's literally going to be a war between these two games, and third place is going to be all the way down here. Again, this isn't about quality, this is about recognition and legacy. So even though Super Mario Bros. Wonder will be the main 2D game on the Nintendo Switch, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the 2D platformer for 2024. But I think this is what this war is, and I'm going to end on this note. I think the war this time isn't about which company is better. This war is going to be about which franchise is going to revolutionize the next generation of 2D platformers. We've seen some very game-changing things between these two games, so there is no doubt that they are going to introduce a lot of things that a lot of future 2D platformers may potentially bite from. I'm just going to keep it 1,000. So which game is going to do that the most and the best? I guess we're just going to have to wait and see.